Hi friends, are you seeking some change in your life? In this video, I am going to talk a little bit about how this is happening for me in my life. My name is Raquel Perez, and I am a licensed professional counselor candidate in the state of Colorado. If you are new here, welcome, and if you're returning, welcome back. In this channel, I talk a little bit about things that are happening in my life and the way that my body and mind process and organize the information. Let's go ahead and get started. On September 6th of 2022, I walked out of the building that I had been working at for a little over 16 years. It had been a long time coming, and I had really worked hard for that moment. The very next day, I had my very own clients in my private practice that I had just launched. I was so excited, and I thought, not too bad. Not too bad for a single mom of 3 who fought tooth and nail to get here. And when this transition was happening, that was probably the largest transition that I had been through up until that point. There had been many before, but that had probably been the biggest. But when this transition happened, I described it to my friends and those closest to me as equal parts of exhilarating and absolutely terrifying. And I didn't really know at that time when I was saying it how true this statement was actually going to be. Since I made that decision and I launched my private practice, it has been an absolute roller coaster. There have been some definite high highs, but there have also been some pretty low lows. There have been some moments that have absolutely challenged me to the very core of my being. So when I first started out, obviously it was a little bit challenging and it was slow to get started. But as I said, I started off my very first day with a client in the office. Super exciting. And as the winter kind of wrapped up and the next year started in early 2023, started up a little bit slow, but then it went gaining momentum. And as I was gaining momentum, I was super excited, thrilled. My practice was starting to fill up. And then in October, I hit my ultimate high. I had the most clients that I had ever had. I was generating a decent amount of income, it felt like at the time, and things were going pretty smoothly. And then as we started to round out the year of 2023, it really started to dip. So last year, my practice really started to dip. There were lots of clients that were felt like they had already achieved their goals. There were other clients who no longer could seek services for different reasons. And I started to get pretty scared. I started to panic. Things started to slow down and even decline at that point. So when I started the beginning of this year, I just felt like I was in a pretty low spot. I felt like all of those negative voices that had already been part of me started to really come up. Those voices that telling myself, you did this too soon. Why did you pull the plug on all of this so soon? You really weren't ready for this. Who did you think you were? Why did you think that this was actually gonna work? But as I really sat in those voices, I started to think I need to dip down into the voice that's beneath those. There is something happening inside of me, and I need to find that. So I turned my attention to something that I've enjoyed for a really long time now, which is meditation. And I really started to dig deeper and to try to figure out what my truth actually really was at that moment. And there was this little voice inside of me that kept saying, "You're right where you need to be." And so it was so conflicting because there were these voices that were telling me I had pulled the plug too soon. I wasn't ready for what this change that was happening, and I had bit off more than I could chew. But then there was this other voice that was inside of me that was telling me, no, you didn't. This is exactly where you need to be. And I really didn't know where to proceed from there. I really felt stuck at the beginning of this year. But through really processing those voices and through really finding that inner voice inside of me that was telling me, no, this is exactly where you need to be, I started to notice that there was a fog that started to lift from me. I was able to kind of peer through the fog and the haziness and the confusion to at least find some settling in my body, to at least find some confidence. And with that came the ability for me to activate. Once I was able to be less confused, less foggy, less hazy, I was able to really activate and start consuming more than I ever have before. Literature, books, videos about business and about therapy and about how to provide this service. And I started to explore more and more and more what it is that I want to provide to this world, what it is that I want to provide to my clients, and what it is that I am seeking out of my experience on this world, in this world. And I started to investigate more and more with more clarity. I started to find more answers. And while I can't sit here today and claim to all of the successes that I've had in these past few months in my investigations and in my inquiries into myself, because that's still a work in progress, and I still continue to work really, really hard at making all of this work for myself. I can sit here today and say that while those really hard times were coming and the confusion felt so thick and the haze felt so thick and those negative voices, those negative narratives kept sounding so loud and being so noisy in my head, when I was able to dig a little bit deeper, go a little bit beyond those voices, I was really able to hear my truth. And my truth is that I am right where I need to be. And it might not be all that clear yet. And I might not know exactly where I'm headed yet because I haven't gotten there yet. But I can say that there's less haze, there's less confusion, there's more confidence, and there's more of me leaning into the voice saying that I'm right where I need to be, and less of me listening to those negative narratives that cause more confusion than anything else. So with that, I encourage you to think about what it is that's lying beneath your negative narratives. What is it that's lying inside of you that's your truth? Well, friends, that's all I have for this video. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to watch it. If you have found it useful, helpful, or entertaining in any way, please hit that like button down below. If you're interested in hearing more, which comes out on a weekly basis every Friday, hit that subscribe button. Until next time, bye for now.